Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Munachira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtatrashita Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the simple devotees, all glories to the simple devotees, all glories to the simple devotees, all glories to Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So this is the fourth canto entitled Creation of the Fourth Order. Chapter 11, Swayambhuva Manu advises Dhruva Maharaj. The full name is, he advises Dhruva Maharaj to stop fighting. And we're on text 29. So what's the meter? Tamenam ingatmani mukta vigrahe. That one? Okay. Tamenam in angatmani mukta vigrahe. Vyapashitam nirgunanam ikam aksharam. Atmanam anvicha vimukta atmadrig. Yasmin idam bedama sat pritiyate. Tam enam in anga mani mukta vigrahe. Vyapashitam nirgunanam ekam aksharam. Atmanam anvichat vimuktam atmadrig. Yasmin idam vedam asat pratiyate.
Yasmin idam vedam asat pratiyate. Anenam angat manimukta vigrahe. Anenam angat manimukta vigrahe. Yapashitam nirganam ekam aksharam. Atmanam advitya vimuktam atmadu. Yasmin idam vedam asat pratiyate. Anenam angat manimukta vigrahe. Yapashitam nirganam ekam aksharam. Atmanam advitya vimuktam atmadu. Yasmin idam vedam asat pratiyate. Anenam angat manimukta vigrahe. Yapashitam nirganam ekam aksharam. Atmanam advitya vimuktam atmadu. Yasmin idam vedam asat pratiyate. Yasmin idam vedam asat pratiyate.
Okay, word by word translation. Tam, him. Enam, that. Anga, my dear Dhruva. Atmani, in the mind. Mukta vigrahe, free from anger. Vyapashitam, situated. Nirgunam, transcendental. Ekam, one. Aksharam, the infallible Brahman. Atmanam, the self. Anvincha, try to find out. Vimuktam, uncontaminated. Atmadrik, facing towards the Supersoul. Yasmin, in which. Idam, this. Vedam, differentiation. Asat, unreal. Pratiyate, appears to be. Translation. My dear Dhruva, please therefore turn your attention to the Supreme Person, who is the infallible Brahman. Face the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your original position, and thus, by self-realization, you will find this material what is it? Differentiation? How do you pronounce it? Is that right? Differentiation. To be merely flickering. Purport. The living entities have three kinds of vision, according to their position and self-realization. According to the bodily concept of life, one sees differentiation in terms of varieties of bodies. The living entity actually passes through many varieties of material forms, but despite all such changes of body, he is eternal. When the living entities therefore are viewed in the bodily concept of life, one appears to be different from another. Lord Manu wanted to change the vision of Dhruva Maharaj, who was looking upon the yakshas as different from him, or as his enemies. Factually, no one is an enemy or a friend. Everyone is passing through different types of bodies under the law of karma, but as soon as one is situated in his spiritual identity, he does not see differentiation in terms of this law. In other words, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 1854, Brahmabhuta prasan atma na shochati na kangshati samasarveshu bhuteshu Madbhaktim labate param. A devotee who is already liberated does not see differentiation in terms of the outward body. He sees all living entities as spirit souls, eternal servants of the Lord. Dhruva Maharaj was advised by Lord Manu to see with that vision. He was specifically advised to do so because he was a great devotee and should not have looked upon other living entities with ordinary vision. Indirectly, Manu pointed out to Dhruva Maharaj that out of material affection, Dhruva thought of his brother as his kin, and the yakshas as his enemies. Such observation of differentiation subsides as soon as one is situated in his original position as an eternal servant of the Lord. Yeah. Om Ganata Vadandasya Gananjala Shalakaya Chukshavan Muditam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Kam Kariravachalam Pangam Langate Gadim Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Diditanaram Vancha Kaparipishta Kripa Sandhubi Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna So if we observe people of this world, or listen to the news, or watch the news, we'll see there's a lot of hateful things going on, and specifically violence, like hate crimes. And this is happening due to people being completely absorbed in the bodily concept of life. For the most part, a lot of these hate crimes are based on that. Actually, practically all of them. In the sense that people are thinking they're of a certain ethnicity, that is who they are, and they think they're a certain gender, that is who they are, and so on. So many different material designations, Democrats and Republicans. I mean, they really, sometimes they beat each other up and all types of stuff. So it's all happening based on the bodily concept of life. And when one falls into that concept, then the Bhagavatam actually says, Krishna says in the Bhagavatam, he says that those who visit the holy places, those who go on pilgrimage to the holy places, and they just go there to take a bath, like, in a sacred river. And how else does that go? They go there to take a bath in the holy river. And they do not go and hear the saintly people speak. They're considered to be no better than a cow or like a donkey. In the sense that and the important part is who thinks that they're their material body. They're considered to be no better than a cow or a donkey. So that's what Krishna says in the Bhagavatam. To sages. He's speaking to some sages. So yeah, one who falls into this concept, then it's actually quite a terrible concept to live under or to be moved by in our lives. And unfortunately, practically the whole world is under this concept of their bodies. And it's not exactly easy to give up, because even when we come to Krishna consciousness, it's not exactly easy to give it up, thinking that we're the body, right? Identifying with the body of a male or a female or certain ethnicity or whatever. It's an age, these are all material things, but we're actually not these things. We're not of a particular age, we're not of a particular ethnicity, and even more far out for people. So we're not even of a particular, like even the gender that we, the dress that we have is actually not us. So none of this is us, which is actually quite interesting. And if you really think about it, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, okay, like, do we really want to identify as like blood and bones and all the other stuff in the body? Is that really us? No, it's not, if you really think about it. So, but a lot of times people don't think, people don't ask, people don't question. Like last night, we're all discussing this idea of questioning things, not just blindly accepting things. And that's what the whole world is doing, is blindly accepting. Oh, I'm identifying with this body. And therefore so many hate crimes, and just so many stupid things in general people do. Practically all mistakes based on stupidity happen because people think that they're their body. They're trying to enjoy the material world or material body and so on. And based on this, if one is in the bodily concept of life, they actually sink into an ocean of frustration, of anger, of lamentation, of just all these negative things. They just sink into that ocean. There's no way of getting around it. And someone may say, okay, hey, well, they look pretty happy, hey, well, this is just exaggeration. But just let the movie play out a little longer, and we'll see that there's some heavy times within people's lives where they're forced to be drowned in such material emotions. They cannot escape them, although they try to. So, and probably the worst out of all of them for a lot of people is boredom. Just boredom. Loneliness, boredom. In that they just, because they're just so influenced by material concepts, it just sinks them to this boredom and loneliness. It's actually a big problem in the world now, boredom. Interesting enough, because there's a lot going on, right? People are just bored. And when people become bored, actually they say, there was some writer, she said, or he said, I forgot about it. I think it was she. She said that boredom is the source of all evil. Which is interesting because, yeah, people get bored and say, all right, well, I'm bored, let's just go do something stupid, right? Let's go break into a liquor store and steal things, or let's beat somebody up. Let's do so many. I'm bored. I gotta try to entertain myself here. Just like my sister, my sister Amanda, she was telling me that she wanted to breakfast or something. And she was talking to the waiter, and the waiter, she said, "Oh yeah, I'm out of town. I used to live here, but I'm out of town. I live somewhere else. I'm just visiting here." And the waiter said, "Oh yeah, I'll give you some advice what to do." And she said, "Oh, what should I do? While I'm here?" She said, and he said, "What you should do is you should go to one of the local bars, and you should, drink some alcohol, and then after that you should go to the zoo, just walk around the zoo, And then she started laughing, and she's like, "Really?" She's like, "Do you do that?" And then the guy said, "Yeah, I did it about twice, I thought it was kind of cool, so..." Yeah, you get drunk and you walk around the zoo. I mean, come on, that's just like lame. That's just boring. That's just stupid. I'm sorry, but I mean, people do that though. Okay, let's take some mushrooms, right? We'll just walk around, and there's not. They're just bored. People are just bored, so they have to do those things actually. And the more bored and frustrated one becomes, the worse things become actually. Things really get out of control. And And here, what's been happening is Dhruva Maharaj, he somehow or other, he fell into this concept that, okay, these people, they killed my brother. Actually, just one of them killed Dhruva Maharaj's brother. And then after that, Dhruva Maharaj, he more or less, I mean, he's a great devotee and everything, but yeah, he just kind of went out of control. He just kind of lost it. And just started killing, not just the one who did it, but just all of them, like a bunch of them. Just started killing. And of course, we have to note that he saw Krishna, he saw Vishnu, like personally. So he wasn't just some, new bhakta or new bhaktin, struggling in Krishna consciousness. He was a super, I'm not saying that every new bhakta and bhaktin struggles in Krishna consciousness, but my point, he wasn't just some ordinary kind of like struggling person or something, struggling with his faith or his mind or his senses or something. He's a really powerful person. He saw Vishnu right there in front of him. So even then, he had some issues afterwards. He had some difficulties afterwards. And that he started killing so many of these yakshas, not just one, so many. Right? Sometimes we see devotees, they have issues, right? And their Krishna consciousness, whatever it is, they have problems, have issues, and then we see it, and there's immediately a tendency to, let's penalize this guy, or let's penalize this, person, this woman. In other words, let's condemn them, either literally or, write them off. But Dhruva Maharaj, this was quite a mistake actually that he did, killing all these yakshas. One killed his brother, and he started killing so many. So this goes to show that even if devotees take to the process, and they may become really advanced, there may be difficulties, and we shouldn't penalize them, nor should we penalize ourselves, or write somebody off because of that difficulty. So this is, you could say, inspiring for us. Well, Dhruva Maharaj, killed so many people. And I'm thinking of Bilvamangala Thakur. So Bilvamangala Thakur, he was a great devotee within the last few hundred years. And in his last life, before he was Bilvamangala Thakur, he actually went to a very high level of, it said, bhava. So this is like very high level of Krishna consciousness. And then somehow or other, he didn't exactly reach the goal completely, and then he accepted another birth. I'm not exactly sure what he did, but accepted another birth. And then he was living his life, and then he became attached to a prostitute. And he was really attached. And so one day, and this prostitute's name was Chintamani, so one day he was going to see her. So on the way to see her, it was raining, and in India it really rains. It's like, like a monsoon. So it's raining, and then he has to cross the river, a river. And when he crosses the river, in order for him to get across, there happens to be a dead body floating there. So he gets a dead body, and he's kind of like using the dead body to come, because he's going to see her. He's like very determined. So then So then he goes to climb the wall. I don't know, there's like a snake there, so he's like holding onto the snake, trying to climb the wall, and doing all this just kind of like crazy stuff to see this woman. And then he falls off the wall. When you're climbing walls, sometimes you fall. I used to do that when I was a teenager. For some, I don't know why, but we'd be jumping walls all the time. I have no reason why. I don't know. Huh? No, just like, I lived out, it's a city, but for some reason we're always jumping walls. Like, I don't understand why we're doing that. Like, we thought that was fun or something. I don't know. Now I don't want to jump a wall, It's like you climb, like, I don't even know how, hop on a car, and then, like, you hop up onto the wall, and you're, like, on the wall, and you jump down, and it's like, hurt your feet and your legs and knees, and it's just like, I don't know, this is ridiculous. Hopping wall. We used to do that all the time. Fences, and one time we actually, I don't know, anyways. So we were just jumping all around, so. He did that and he fell. So he eventually made it to her house, and then he knocked on the door, and he was probably he was soaking wet, and it was like probably blood, from his fall, and just looks like a mess, And then Chintamani, she said, "Oh, you have so much determination to see me. But if you had even just a slight amount of determination you had to see me, as you would to see Krishna," she said, "you'd be a pure devotee." So at that particular point in his mind, something changed. He said, and he started thinking, she's right. And he had like a change of heart. So he actually left that town, left her, and he started going off to Vrindavan. So you could say he had a spiritual realization at that point. And you could say he was quite advanced, actually, because how many people could just leave that situation, leave her, leave his town, and just walk to Vrindavan? You have to have you have to have determination there. So you could say that determination awakened, the Krishna consciousness awakened, his desires for Krishna awakened. So he was walking there and going to Vrindavan, and on the way there was, he met this man, and the man said, "Oh, please come to my house, and you could have prasad, you could have dinner or whatever, lunch." And he said, "Okay." So then Bilamanga Thakur went there, and even after developing these desires to go to Vrindavan, see Krishna, and be Krishna conscious, so he went to the house on the way to Vrindavan. And the man's wife, or the man who invited him, his wife was there. And Bilamanga Thakur, he started developing attraction to his wife. Like, started feeling lust for his wife. So then, somehow or other, it's kind of, but Bilamanga Thakur, the man said, "Oh, I could help you out with whatever you want," and he was a very hospitable host, and then Bilamanga Thakur said, "I'd like to be with your wife." That's what he said. So, and then interesting enough is that the man said, "All right." And then what happened is the wife also agreed. So then Bilamanga Thakur was there, and then he went into the room, and wife was there, and then he started thinking, I'm such a fool, I'm such a rascal, I'm so low, I can't believe I'm asking this man, and I'm asking this woman, and they're agreeing, and this is horrible. She started being regretful, because by the way, he was on the way to Vrindavan. He wasn't wasn't on his way to Las Vegas or something. He was on his way to Vrindavan. So he started feeling horrible, terrible. So then he told the woman, he said, "My dear lady," because sometimes women, they wear when they have long hair, they have their hair up and they wear like a hairpin. He said, "My dear lady, I see you have that hairpin. Can you please give me that hairpin? And then then she said, oh yeah, no. And then she gave him the hairpin. And then Bilamangala took the hairpin, and he just gouged his eyes out. So I mean, I mean, it's not advised that we do that. I mean, although Jesus Christ, I mean, those who have read or heard, I mean, he says things like that. You know, if your eyes are causing you problems, just pluck them out, right? Maybe have a blind world, right? So on. So that's what he did. I mean, it's exactly what he did. That's what the story. And then from there, doesn't say if he, I don't know what, doesn't exactly say what happened right after that. But he made his way to Vrindavan after that, and he was blind, but he became a pure devotee there. He didn't go there and like not be Krishna conscious and not be God realized. He actually became fully Krishna conscious, fully God realized, up to the point that Krishna himself would come and appear before him. So he could see Krishna, although he's blind, but with his spiritual vision. Krishna would come and listen to him chant mantras and all that, sing. And he wrote many books. Bilvamangala Thakur wrote Krishna Karnamrita, which means the nectar for Krishna's ears. I mean, it's quite a bold statement. I write a book and I say, this book is the nectar for Krishna's ears. I mean, so he was quite close to Krishna, I mean, to make such a claim. And Lord Chaitanya accepted him. He wasn't just some... Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted him as a bona fide pure devotee and read his works. So he became a pure devotee. And said he lived for actually quite a long time, like over 100 years in Vrindavan. Sorry. That's the story, so you got to say it. So I know one verse from Bilvamangala Thakur. Dravida Prabhu taught me. I know Sanskrit and then the English, so I'll say it. I don't know. I'm not sure where it's from, but it's about Krishna as a young boy, and sometimes young boys, they throw temper tantrums. They like if you go to a local store, grocery store or something. The boy wants a candy or something. The mother says, "No, you can't have the toy." And he just throws a tantrum. He just like falls on the ground and starts crying and hitting his fists on the ground. So becomes red, right? So this verse is about Krishna throwing a temper tantrum as a young boy. So it goes about somebody stealing his butter, somebody stealing his flute, and he's throwing a temper tantrum. So the Sanskrit is Nitam, Nava Nitam, Kena Chapitam, Payat Kome Marali, Iti Samadiratam Tambuma, Balam Namami Gopalam. So the English is Krishna, so Dravida Prabhu came up with this, but says, who stole my butter? So this is Krishna speaking. Who stole my butter? Who drank my milk? And where can my flute be found? So then Bilvamangala Thakur is praying. I bowed to the cowherd child, because Krishna's a cowherd boy. I bowed to the cowherd child who shouts these words as he rolls on the ground. So he's throwing a temper tantrum. Who stole my butter? Who drank my milk? And where can my flute be found? I bowed to the cowherd child who shouts these words as he rolls on the ground. So that was a verse from Bilvamangala Thakur. So the point is that Dhruva had issues after his realization. And Bilvamangala Thakur also did. So that means other devotees may have some, whatever it may be. I mean, it might not be as intense as these two particular stories, but there may be some other things that may arise. So therefore, the idea is to prepare oneself for challenges, because after all, this world's like a battlefield, actually. and we're like on the field. People are shooting arrows, and Maya's shooting her arrows. So many different things. So the idea is to prepare. And we prepare by having good devotee association and some type of morning program, which we're hearing, we're chanting, we're listening to lectures, we're reading, we're doing something to make ourselves strong. And in this way, we're less likely to be shot down or injured or wounded by the enemy. And we're able to continue and become long-time warriors for Lord Chaitanya. Long time means we're able to sustain our spiritual lives, or our spiritual lives are sustained for years on end. And we may have some nicks and scratches and broken bones and things like that, but we're still fighting. So that's important. And again, Bilal Mangal Thakur, Dhruva Maharaj, and there's so many other devotees who, there was some trip-ups, there was some issues they had to encounter. So the idea is to prepare for those. That's my point. So Dhruva Maharaj was tested, Bilal Mangal Thakur was tested. Ultimately, they all succeeded. But nonetheless, there was tests. So my point is there will be tests, there will be challenges, so to prepare for them before they come. That's the idea. And and not be, and try as hard as we can, try as much as possible to be above this bodily concept of life, which is the source of all issues, practically speaking, the source of all problems. Bilal Mangal Thakur's problem was due to material identification, and Dhruva Maharaj's problem was due to material identification. So if we rise above that, then practically speaking, so many issues and so many problems are gone. And therefore Prabhupada advises that we engage in devotional service. There's that verse in the Bhagavad Gita. I think Mad Bhaktim Labate Brahmabhuta Prasanatma Nasochati Nakangshati Samasarvesha Pratisha. There's that other verse. It's that one who engages in devotional service, unflinchingly they rise above the modes of material nature. Yeah, how does that one start? Oh. What is it?
Is it the one right before that?
How does it go?
Right before that one, it's Ahankara and Brahman.
I don't think it's that one.
Before that, it's
I don't think it's that one. How does it, how the last? Sagunan Samatita Brahmabhuya Kalpate. Oh, God, that's such an important verse. Yeah, if you look up Kalpate. Sagunan Samatita Tan Brahmabhuya Kalpate. That's why you have to always go over the shlokas. Yeah, Mam Chayo Vibhacharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate Sagunan Samatitya Tam Brahmabhuya Kalpate. So what is, maybe you could read English, please.
translation.
Or I could read. So, one who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So one has to engage in devotional service and not fail. Just continue to engage in devotional service. One transcends the modes, means identification, all this material identification. They transcend the modes and then the level of Brahman, which means not like they become God or something, but it means that they realize that they're the soul. They're on that soul platform. So that's the idea. All right. So does anyone have any questions or comments? Or anything you'd like to say? We have a trespasser.
So,
You would, I think the word that you used was penalize. You said we should penalize others or ourselves.
I think they condemn.
Yeah, penalize, condemn, yeah.
But what exactly does that mean? Because if we have maybe sinful desires, what does that mean? We should be the ones to excuse ourselves of our sins or our sinful desires. Maybe you could kind of elaborate on that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, what I mean is that we're not the controllers. We're not the, we're not the sheriffs. We're not the police. We're not, part of Yamaraja's crew who, punishes people and condemns people. And in most cases, for most devotees, it's actually not their service to to even think about things like that. So what I'm saying is that when we see devotees who may have, that may be acting in certain ways that are not good, because sometimes devotees act in certain ways that aren't good, we should not be the ones who develop hate towards them, which is not easy thing to do. The natural tendency is that, hey, this devotee did something wrong, it's just wrong, and he's wrong, and I'm going to develop some distasteful, even hate. Hate just means strong dislike, by the way. Strong dislike towards this person. But really, we shouldn't not like anybody. We should like everybody. I mean, we may not like some of the things they do, we may not like some of the things they say, we may not like, etc., but we should not like them. That's not good. So in other words, we should always be wishing people well. No matter who they are, no matter what they've done to us or others, we should always be wishing them well. And that's what Krishna wants us to do. We may be mad at them, we may be angry at them. I mean, of course, you got to control that too. But my point is, like, if it develops into this, oh, this person's just like, you just hate the person. That's not good. And as devotees too, you hate devotees. It's not that you're hating like Trump or something. A lot of people hate Trump, but it's like you're hating devotees. I mean, like the person chants Hare Krishna all the time. The person reads Prabhupada's books all the time. The person bows down to Prabhupada all the time. The person worships the deity. The person travels around the world and speaks on the philosophy of the Bhagavatam. And even if he has he has a bunch of material desires, and they do wrong stuff, and they may be doing it for the wrong purposes, but for God's sake, you're hating somebody who's on some level trying to be a devotee. And maybe they're actually quite advanced. So that happens all the time. He's the temple president, he said this to me, and he said that to me, and then they just hold on to it for like literally years. Like a whole lifetime, at their deathbed, they can't forget such things. It's in the recesses of their mind how that person wronged them. They chastised them during the Bhagavatam class in front of everybody. Devamrita Swami apparently chastised Yudhishthira in front of the whole Sunday feast congregation. I mean, this is many years ago, but... So, I mean, you could hold on to things for years, and people do. 10 years, and that's the thing about time. Sometimes we don't realize how much, like, time moves by fast. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it all moves by super fast. And then we're not able to let certain things go. And it seems like it actually hasn't been that long, like, hey, well, I just hate this person. I just don't like this. I mean, he wronged me. He chastised me. He corrected me. And he's a rascal. But, it doesn't seem like much time has passed, but they have this mentality still. But actually, a lot of time has passed. 5 years, that's a long time to hold on to something. 10 years. I know people, they're holding on to things. It's like, okay, fine, how long are you going to hold on to that? So it's an issue, it's a problem, because time goes by, and literally people do for many years, 20 years, 30 years, longer. So the idea is to somehow or other not fall into that. So yeah, but my point is we don't, towards others, hate them for their behavior, and also towards ourselves. It's not that we just excuse ourselves, like, hey, well, it's Kali Yuga, and, I'm a rascal, and I'm a fool, and I grew up in a certain way, and I just, that's just how I am. I'm angry. I'm an angry person, and everybody around me, they have to, I'm giving them an opportunity to develop their tolerance, right? I'm actually serving all of you by my anger, because all of you have to tolerate me. So you're working on your tolerance here. But that's not very good, you don't do that. So we don't excuse ourselves. We try to work on ourselves, but my point is that you don't condemn yourself to the point of absolute discouragement and frustration, up to the point where you're like, oh, let me just give up. Let me just hit the waves, right? Surfing. Hit the 40-ounce bottle of beer and hit the waves, That's Krishna consciousness too difficult. So that's what I'm saying. Not to give up. So, or like Tamal Krishna Goswami said, the sin is not so much in the falling down or the committing of mistakes, but it is in giving up. It is in giving up, not getting back up. Like they had that commercial that everybody would make fun of. At least some people make fun of that. I've fallen, and I can't get up. I don't know why everybody thought that was so amusing, but it's kind of weird actually, because it was a commercial about like an elderly lady, and or a man, and they'd advertise, because sometimes they fall down, they fall down and then they can't get up. I mean, it's actually quite horrible. I mean, you can imagine it's difficult. You can't get up, and you're old, and no one's around, and so they created this little thing, like you press a button, and then the button calls your whatever friend or family member or something like that, and then they come and help you. But for some reason, all the little rascal kids in school, they make fun of falling. I can't get up. Anyways, so the point is the sin is not so much in the falling, but it's in not getting up. So, but we shouldn't be like, oh, I can't get up. No, you can get up. You're not feeble. You could do it. So do you have a...
Because Jamal was asking about if we're supposed to be not condemn other people, but then what about ourselves? Or we just not penalize ourselves, or do we not condemn ourselves? But I was wondering if you know where this came from, because I've heard many devotees say this. I'm not sure if it's actually if it's Shastric or if Prabhupada said it, or if it just kind of trickled its way in from outside sources. But this idea that you be strict with yourself and lenient with others. Because I looked for it, and I did find one instance where Tamal Krishna Goswami said it to Prabhupada, like, oh, you were very strict with yourself and lenient with others. Which made me think that he was saying that because that idea or that kind of comparison came from something Prabhupada said. But maybe I could search different words, but do you know where that comes from? That idea of being strict with yourself and lenient with others?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't really heard exactly where that's from, but it makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
Because strict with yourself, I mean, you're strict with yourself, and you're lenient with others. I mean, if people aren't up to the standard, that you don't beat them up for it or something. So you don't condemn them for it. But that's an important point. We shouldn't be lenient with ourselves, right? And strict with others. We kind of lenient with ourselves, but then we that's called hypocrisy and kind of that's you're not preaching what you practice. That's called lenient with yourself and strict with others. But yeah, preaching what you practice means you're strict with yourself, and you're lenient with people. Give them a little chance to kind of work their way up, and so. I don't know the exactly words. All right. All right, Jai. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai.